Hi everyone. So it's coming up to that busy period in FPL. This is kind of the exciting part, which I quite enjoy. And it looks like we're getting quite a few injuries into the teams, and a few decisions to be made. I, for me, there's going to be a kind of a heart versus head decision on a few of these to be done. And if you watch me for for a while, then you might know that which way that might end up going. Um, and there are some, I'm going to really just talk through my team. I'm not going to do a load of fancy stuff, just pretty much just look at my team and see what I'm going to do. Um, I love the Christmas period. I love the football Christmas period. I'm not that much into Christmas itself, but when we get all these games coming thick and fast, and combined with FBL, it's so enjoyable. Or it's a bit of a nightmare if you've got a lot of injuries and things. So it's really looking through the team, and I'm trying to think. Well, do I want to play it in a way that minimises um, kind of decisions to be made? And this year, because I'm playing a slightly different way, I've always seemed to have this kind of warring faction between my brain and my, kind of like want to play. A certain part of me wants to play very sensibly, the way I've usually played, what I think is the right decisions, and there's always, even before, there's always been this part of me that's like, no, that's not as fun. I want to be a bit differential. I want to be a bit different. I want to have more fun with my picks, and I don't care as much if it goes wrong. And there's an element of, well, if you're doing well, it's a lot more fun than if you're not. I'm not doing great at the moment, and there's also this, we're in this strange bubble where you see all of the, you have this template of teams, and there are certain moves. If you looked at my team, that if you asked a lot of these guys what they would do, I can guarantee what most of them would do, and it would be kind of the template. What I would think of, maybe the boring moves, but maybe the sensible moves. And and to back that up, whenever there's like content creators and they do something a bit different, they get all this stick, and they get this stick when they do something different or when they don't do anything different. There was an interesting video from Raptor recently where he was talking about the effects of on his mental health about that type of thing. It was really interesting what he was saying actually, and about how he should maybe try and take that, where he was tying too much of his mental well-being or his mental like good mood up into what his team was doing. And that's kind of the way that I've been trying to play the whole season, is just do something a little bit different. And look, I can make crazy decisions if I want, and I'm not going to let it ruin my whole week if something goes wrong and it doesn't go the way that I thought it was going to go. That's fine. I'm not I'm not going to worry about that. So let's have a look at this team anyway, because I mean, to start off with, I've got Areola in goal. I'd quite like to. I was thinking about maybe making a move to take him out. There's a lot of injuries and things, and a lot of uncertainty on certain players. So that is probably going to take a back seat. I was maybe thinking about going to a Raya, possibly a Sanchez. Raya was my preferred one. I think Arsenal defence looks great. Areola is just going to let goals in all the time. But in this week, actually, maybe this is a better week for him to possibly get a clean sheet against Crystal Palace, who don't have Eze at the moment because he's injured. So, yeah, that's probably not going to be a move that I make. Now, with Cash, so, I mean, just running through the team, we've got Cash, Saliba, Trent, Martinelli, Salah, Son, Bowen, Ferguson, Watkins, Darwin. Now that was my initial thoughts. Probably going to play Trippier for one of those players. Just play the upside. Man United haven't looked great. I expect they're going to score some scruffy goal, undeserved, as they usually do. They probably win 1-0. But I think I'd like to play Trippier because he's a fun player to have, and I want him. I want him in the team. So, and with some of these other injury problems, at least we know Trippier's most likely to get in play. So he's probably going to be in for one of these players. Cash, there seems to be a lot of debate that he's not going to really, he's maybe going to be rotated a bit more. And this was actually why at the beginning of the season I kind of thought, yeah, it didn't look like he was going to be nailed 100%, but he has played a lot of games. In the last game, he got taken off at half time. Now, was that because he was yellow card and he was sort of diving in a bit, looked like he was going to get sent off? Maybe. He's in the Europa League game, I think he played the full game or pretty much the full game. So does that mean he's not going to play or start in the next game? Possibly. He could be swapped for Konza, who can play there. I think Leon Bailey, when he came on, did he come on for Cash? And they sort of swapped. Leon Bailey played well, so Leon Bailey maybe could be, if they change kind of what they're doing. It depends what they, how they play, how they set up. It could be that Cash doesn't start, in which case he's he's one of these players that would likely come off the bench, and that's not someone that you want starting then. I had no plans really to take him out because the Bournemouth fixture is quite good. I know people have been talking about it for a little while and he hasn't delivered much. He's still, when he was playing, was creating chances and things, but Villa don't look that great defensively. Bournemouth might, actually look okay going forward, and it is an away game. So that's given me something to think about. And I also have Guahi, West Ham away on the bench. I don't really want to play him. I think, although, I mean, Palace have been an okay defence, so if I have to play him, it's not the end of the world. I think it's going to be Trippier, possibly on for Cash there. Saliba against Wolves, that's a pretty good fixture at home. Although Wolves haven't been playing that badly either. They may get a goal, but that's Saliba's a no-brainer to start and play there. Trent against Fulham, really hoping he starts to deliver and do something on, because he's too expensive really, but I feel like I've got to hold him through at least these next 2 games and then maybe reassess. Martinelli as so this is where you go through and you start off and you have a plan and you think, this is what I'm going to do, and if this happens, then this is what I'm going to do. And if we get news that a player's injured, then that slightly changes it. And you're thinking all the time, and you've got all these little plans going in your head, which players you can sacrifice, which ones you kind of maybe want to get rid of, which players you want to target bringing in. Well, Martinelli, I was thinking about taking out because he hasn't done anything. He wasn't ever the player that I wanted. I wanted Saka. And the choice a couple of weeks ago came down to, should I bring in Saka, who at the time had injury doubts, and it looked like he could very well come in and play, but it was not a guarantee. He had been injured a couple of times, so he could easily not start the game. Martinelli was the kind of, he will pretty much play. And also that move allowed me to bring in Saliba, so I'm quite pleased that I did do that, because Saliba's been good, and I'm happy to own Saliba. Maybe keep him in just ongoing. I don't think there's any reason to take him out there. But it means that I don't have the Arsenal attacker I want. And then in the Champions League game, Arsenal play really well. Martinelli gets an assist under goal, and suddenly you think, well, actually, Wolves at home, should I be taking him out? The players that I want to kind of bring in, now the one that I want to bring in is Morgan Gibbs-White, and I just like him. I really like him, and he's an exciting player, and it's one that's a little bit different. Not that many people have got him. He's a cheap player. He's 5.7 million at the moment, I think, and he looks like he's on penalties. Although, is he? Because when he took the penalty last time, Chris Wood wasn't on the pitch. Chris Wood takes penalties for his country. Apparently, has a very good record with penalties, so maybe he's first choice. And if Gibbs White isn't first choice penalty taker, that kind of reduces his appeal a little bit. I mean, Chris Wood is another option that I could bring in. I'm not. If I have to, but I'm not sure about that one. So I was thinking I'd maybe go Martinelli to Gibbs White, or I mean the one that this team. If you just look at this team and say who's it missing, it's in Buemo, and that's going to be a bit scary if I don't have him. And I could easily do any of these midfielders. I'm not going to take Salah out, but any of those midfielders for Embuemo would look like a good move on paper. Bowen is sat there and he's still injured. He didn't play the Europa League game. Is it the Conference League game? Is that the competition they're in? I think it's the Europa Conference League, isn't it? He didn't play that, but I think they'd already qualified, and it sounded like he was maybe never going to play that. But this is the thing, when you're looking online and trying to make decisions, and there's all this contradicting stuff, and people say one thing and another thing, and then suddenly he's not in that squad, and then people panicking. It's like, so my plan was to hopefully keep him because I really like him. He's done really well since I brought him in game week 3. He's a bit of a differential on, well, and I think he will be if a lot of people take him out. If he starts this game, I want him, and if he's fit. But it's another little coming towards like a busy period. We don't really want any niggling doubts in the team, and I've already got a few minutes doubts anyway. So him to an Embuemo or a Gibbs White could be the move. I could also go Sterling, which I quite like, because going forward Sterling has got some good games, and I don't think actually Man United at home is that hard. the way they're defending, the way they're playing, and Man U do have injuries as well. Or a Palmer, someone like that. Gordon. I look at their fixtures. They're in a few weeks they look better than I thought they were at this stage. So they're gonna, but Newcastle have a lot of injuries as well, and so that might start to pile up with all these fixtures. So Gordon's another person I could bring in. So I'm just kind of working through in my mind all these things. This bit of a brain fart episode. This I was talking to myself to try and work out what I think the best solutions are. I know a lot of people are looking at taking out Son. Man City away. Probably the hardest fixture for any team is Man City away. But he's not a priority move out when we've got other issues, so I think he's probably going to stay unless unless something drastic happens. Ferguson played pretty much the full game. I think he came off in the 87th minute, which I was a bit surprised at. I thought that he wouldn't start, or he would only not play as many minutes as that, maybe play like 60 minutes or something. So will he start against Chelsea away? I don't know, because he hasn't. That's like the most minutes he's played all season in a game. I think he doesn't usually play that many minutes. He's very young, and De Zerbi seems to bring him off about the 70th minute maximum a lot of the time. So if he plays, I mean, Chelsea are total mixed bag. Who knows what Chelsea's going to turn up, and defensively they could. I mean, Brighton, even though they've got a few injuries and things, they are very attacking. They look good going forwards and might score. And I'd quite like Ferguson to play in that. If he starts, I definitely want him in this team. If he starts on the bench, I don't, because he will come on for about 10 minutes at the end of the game or 20 minutes at the end of the game. So that's what do I do there? I could play Trippier, but then that means playing Cash as well, and Cash is a possible minutes risk as well if you talk to people. So not sure at the moment. Now, who could I do? Well, I could do. Well, I've only got zero point 0.6 million in the bank, two free transfers. So I could go to Wood, who I think is probably more guaranteed with minutes, and Forest have good fixtures as well. In the at least in the sort of the short term, next four fixtures or so look quite good off the top of my head. A possibility. Isaac is the other one, and I'd have to get some money for that, so I'd have to downgrade one of the midfielders, and I could do like one of the midfielders to a Gibbs White or an Embuemo, and probably have enough to do up to Isaac. I think, depending which midfielder I take out, and which one I bring in. So that looks quite good. Wilson out for a little while, but yeah, that actually that's quite excites me. But not. I don't know. I don't know whether Isak will be able to play all the way through all of those games that are coming thick and fast. Because and the other one now is Watkins wasn't even in the squad for the Europa League game. So when they asked Emery about it, I think they said, "Oh, did you rest him or is he injured?" And he said both. So it sounds like he's got a muscle injury. He's flagged on FPL, 75% chance of starting, whatever that means. So is he one to take out? So I'm gonna have to make a move, and it's probably gonna be. I mean, if we get more solid news on Watkins or Bowen, that they're definitely going to miss this, at least one game, then it has to be at least one of those out. It could be both out. And bear in mind, my plan is always at some point to bring back Haaland. Now, I can do that in two transfers only by taking out Salah. Really don't want to do that this week against Fulham at home. So that's not really an option. I could do it if I take a -4. That's the or -8, depending which players I take out. I could do it. So like maybe a Watkins to Haaland, take out Bowen and Martinelli, and I'd have to have quite cheap midfielders. So I'd have to probably have like a Gibbs White, maybe a Palmer. In fact, didn't I have enough to do that? I can't remember. Or I take out Trent. Trent's got a great fixture this week, and he's got a good fixture next week. Can't remember who it is, and then after that, it's got Palace. I know. So I think Trent. I want Trent in there because he's differential and he's fun. And this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to have fun with this game because it's a game. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not messing about. I'm likely. I think most likely I want to bring Gibbs White in. It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a mistake. But who cares? So and so I'm just trying to work out what I do with Watkins and Bowen. I think if there's no news on Bowen, I think I probably just have to take him out. He'll probably start and he'll probably score a couple of goals, and he'll be fine across this next period and that. But much like Saka was when I made the decision on Saka, and now I want Saka. So I think it's going to be Bowen to someone. I could do Martinelli to the other player that I want. So the two players I probably want are Gibbs White and Embuemo. The other slight outsider would be Sterling. I think he's my preferred Chelsea attacker, although there's also Palmer. But I could also do now. The other move would be just a Watkins to an Isak. But I'm trying to work out what my starting 11 would be because I'm worried about Ferguson. Will he start? No guarantee. That's probably 50-50. Is it a good sign they played 87 minutes or not? It might be a bad sign. I mean, Pedro came off earlier, and Pedro's been playing well and scoring goals, and I mean, a lot of them are penalties. But yeah, so will Pedro start and Ferguson not play? That's against Chelsea. Possibly that's what's the plan is. In which case, I don't want him anywhere near the team. So I'm gonna have to. I mean, Trippier. I'm okay playing Trippier, and I'm okay playing Cash as long as he starts. So again, if Cash doesn't start, I don't like that. If I think, which makes me think I don't really want to touch Martinelli or Son because I know they're most likely to start. I mean, Salah's a no-brainer, not going to go near there. Darwin played a few minutes in the Europa League game, and I think he's first choice attacker. And when he came on, he moved it back into the middle. Cody Gakpo played well and scored 2 goals, but I think Darwin will play against Fulham and start against Fulham. I think he's okay. Watkins normally is perfectly fine. It's just how bad that injury is. So, I don't know. I'm not sure what to do. I'm going to make 1 or 2 transfers. Part of me, I would rather do one because with all this uncertainty, I think I'd rather do one and try and ride through the game and get scraped through and have more flexibility the following week. If we then know that there's more, if we have more clarity on it. But yeah, I don't know. So looking at it, might be Mbuemo in, Morgan Gibbs White in, and maybe an Isaac in for some of those injured players. I think what I have to do is get rid of either Bowen or Watkins, unless they're both kind of declared fit before that, and they say no, they're both fine. In which case, I think I'd like to keep both of them. And I'd maybe remove Ferguson or Martinelli or something, or Cash. I don't know. I don't know. Ugh, I don't know what to do.